Alright, so this video is going to be on honey. And honey is a great supplement to your diet and your food, as well as the other bee products, which I don't really have experience with outside of honeycomb. I haven't been able to find, fresh, unfrozen, unprocessed bee pollen, and I haven't been able to find unfrozen jelly. Royal jelly is also like almost prohibitively expensive. But some people, they swear by it. They eat it with their meat meals. It supposedly increases the amount of stem cell production, when you're eating the raw meat there. So sounds like a good benefit, but I have no experience and no comments on that. So honey itself can be hard to find, in the quality that primals want it to, which is unheated, not heated above 93 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, a lot of places they'll heat the honey because basically they harvest it in bulk, then they store it, they let it sit, and then they'll filter it, and then they'll heat it again to bottle it easier. So that's usually where the heating comes in. Sometimes they'll use a heated knife to cut the honeycomb, which isn't great. And yeah, so you have to start, just go to farmers markets, look up farms in your area, honey places in your area. You got to make some phone calls, you got to write some emails, because there's no way to know if something is truly raw just because it's labeled raw, right? The one brand you can buy in stores, really raw honey, that's pretty good. I think they feed their bees some sort of sugar in the winter, but I mean, whatever. That's not really like a huge deal breaker for me personally. I know Augenus recommended Pacifica, excuse me, honey, but apparently that's not good anymore because it's heated, or some of it's heated some time of the year. I don't know, but from what I've heard, people say don't buy it now. StackageHoney.com or Stackage.com. They're a Michigan based honey farm, and they have a lot of really good stuff, a lot of really good raw honey, and they sell it in various quantities up to 5-gallon buckets for like $300, no shipping. You can buy all your honey for a year, and you get your food costs down to, like, for honey for less than $1 a day, especially if it lasts you more than a year. Honey is one of those things that's nice to have on hand, because you might need some, like if you're going through a detox or whatever, like, it's always good to have extra butter or cream on hand just in case. And like right now I don't have any butter. Getting a shipment tomorrow, but it's kind of tough because my local supplier is out. So you can, for stuff like honey, it's one less thing you have to worry about, plus you can take advantage of pricing, like volume pricing. So I would recommend that. And the quality of Stackage honey is good. Excuse me. I haven't had it personally, but I know people who've had it, a lot of people, and they like it. I've emailed and called Stackage, and they've confirmed that yes, the raw honey is unheated. So a good place to get it. And as far as like, where else? I don't know. You've got to, I think local honey's the best because it's kind of like it pollinates everything that's from your environment. So, that can be helpful, I think. And, I wouldn't buy it off Amazon. They sell Stackage honey off of Amazon, but God knows how long that's been sitting at the warehouse and at what temperature. And, Stackage, I think they can ship in glass and some of their smaller product. Obviously, the 5 gallons is a food grade plastic bucket, which is what I use. I don't think it's a big deal. And, yeah, so, honey, you don't want to use more than a tablespoon with your meat meals. At least that's what Augenus says. Now, I don't know if that's because that's through his experience. Sometimes he doesn't differentiate that, because you have to remember he has his vagus nerve cut. He doesn't produce the hydrochloric acid like a normal person. So when he talks about some of these things he does, it's like, well, is that just for you? Obviously, it would be better for everybody, but it's like, what could like a normal person get away with who has the standard uninhibited digestion? These damn mosquitoes. And So yeah, and in terms of like butter and cheese, oh, excuse me, I'm yawning. I started eating more red meat because I don't know if that's because I'm like slightly anemic, but I ate some red meat yesterday, but I'm still kind of yawning. I took a nap. I don't know. Anyway, so for like every 2 to 2.5 tablespoons of cheese, you want to use a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of honey. And the same ratio would go with your butter. And you know, even if you're eating both cheese and butter together, obviously you would compensate a little bit, you know, with that ratio, with that amount of butter. I think if you're an athlete, you could eat a little bit more honey with your cheese and butter, because you're going to be using that energy, obviously. And if you're in a coma, like Audrianus' son Jeff, he fed him a 50-50 mix of butter and honey. So that's what you would use there if someone was in a coma. And you know, you don't want to use too much honey with that stuff, is what he suggested. You know, that's a good ratio. Honestly, I find it a little off-putting, a little too sweet. But of course, you know, when I started the diet, I ate honey like it was, like there was no more honey left to be made. I would eat like half a cup, maybe a cup of honey some days. I would just like eat it by the spoonful because it was so good. Because the honey is, of course, enzymes. Once it's heated above 93 degrees, it starts to lose those enzymes. Technically 92.8 degrees Fahrenheit, but anyway, once it loses those enzymes, it just becomes sugar. So, you know, when I was first getting into the honey, the diet in general, I ate a lot of honey for like the first year. And then I kind of stopped eating so much. Like now I just use honey in recipes, in sauces, in milkshakes, rarely with my meat meals. So I've kind of replaced and helped heal my liver, and I don't really need those enzymes as much anymore. So that's pretty cool. But if you find yourself craving honey, don't be off put by it. Just try to eat more, you know, just eat more fats with it. Or try to drink some milk with it, you know, that helps. Milk and honey was really beneficial when I was first able to get dairy. You know, I consumed a lot of that, and that was awesome. And one other thing, shit, what was it? Right, as far as when to buy honey, so the time of year the honey is harvested, there's spring, fall, and summer. I like to get fall honey the best. Spring honey is also good. To me, spring honey has a lot more, it's a lighter flavor, it has a lot of flowery notes. It's very good. Summer honey I don't like because it's all just too sweet. And I think this is because in the summer, in most places, some places, the hives just get too darn hot, right? They get, you know, above 93 degrees. I'm not saying they get to like 100 or something, but they're definitely warmer than 93 degrees. And I can tell in like the flavor because they're not as, it's just not as good. And fall honey is the best because it's cooler, and the honey is darker, it's richer, it has more flavor to me personally. So I like to buy bulk honey fall for the whole year. That's just how I do it. I would try to avoid summer honey if you're worried about it being heated, because even though they may not heat it in production or processing, it may still be heated in the hive. So that's all about honey. Let me know if you have a question. I'll put a Stackage Honey website in the description.